From the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today I'm very pleased joining me, Roberto. Roberto, the way I love to do it is I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves, so the floor is yours.
Sure. And so, hello everybody, and thanks also to you to having me in your show. My name is Roberto Capodieci. I'm Italian because nobody's perfect. I've been living outside Italy for most of my life, in the United States for about 12 years. Now it's about 20 years like in Southeast Asia. I've always been working in IT, running my own company. I'm more on the technical side rather than the business side. So the role of the CTO is really what fit my person. I've been spending the last 10 plus years into decentralization. So blockchain, peer-to-peer network and things like that. And I'm currently involved in topic projects. One is for AI, to decentralize AI. And one is a play-to-earn that is ethical. It's a very interesting project. So that's about me.
Thank you very much, Roberto, for being on the show. And, I have kind of, I would say, a little bit bias, especially if someone coming from IT background like myself when we are on the show. So, I enjoy it. You can see it even on my face. So the first thing, we have a lot to cover today, but let's start from something. Of course, I had many guests on the show that we talk about, but I love to hear, different opinions. And also this is good, I think, for the audience as well. And you've been, in this space, Roberto, yourself, in the decentralization and blockchain for quite some time. So how have you seen the evolution of blockchain from its early stages, and how do you consider, or what do you consider the most significant milestone that we have reached today?
Okay, thanks. A very good question. We are in a information era, right? We come out of the industrial era before, and so age era, as well I call it, industrial age, and now I'm in the information age. So we started digitizing content, we started transferring digitally from a place to another with the first network modems. And now we enter a phase where we need to decentralize things. So I think the blockchain has had the first of all, it would never be noticed if it wasn't the solution for something related to money, because people pay attention to money. I guess if a blockchain was invented for hairdressers, probably nobody would know it today. But the using cryptocurrencies is just the tip of the iceberg of what the blockchain do. The biggest step, the biggest innovation that it brought is to bring unicity in the digital world. So when before with an MP3, I can make 10 copies of an MP3 and there are 10 identical copies. Nobody knows which is the original. Now I cannot do that anymore if there is a blockchain behind. Simple example, I cannot make a copy of my Bitcoin and give you a copy of my Bitcoin, because in that case, the Bitcoin will be worth zero. So once I transfer you the Bitcoin, I don't have it anymore. And this is still a simple concept, but in the terms of digital content, this is a huge revolution. Practically, there is a unicity, a singularity in the digital world, and this can be applied to so many industries. So that's why the concept of tokenization of assets in a secure way is actually one trending topic around blockchain. So the application of blockchain for use cases that goes outside the simple cryptocurrency are increasing, but yet there is no culture to really understand and accept in the large public the use of this technology. And at the end of the day, probably the large public shouldn't even know. People doesn't understand what goes behind the app that they're using on their phone. Funny enough, a few days ago, there was a kid using Facebook in his or Twitter, I don't remember what it was, Instagram, let's say, in his phone. So he said, there is internet. So, no, I don't have internet. This is Instagram. It's like he's ignoring that in order to function and to be connected, that's the internet connection is essential. This probably is going to happen with the blockchain, which is a technology. It's not a final use case. And the use case can use it. And the people who use application, they use it. They are decentralized without even knowing. That's, I think, is what happened.
You mentioned a couple of, like some, I would say, concerns that people, sometimes when they hear the word blockchain, their mind goes to the cryptocurrency and all this. And, at some stage, and this is we start to see when we also tied, the blockchain to Web3. And I'm curious, Roberto, to see different views as I was telling you. And some voices, especially by the end of last year in 2023, they were saying like Web3 failed, and like people were trying to you know to invent solutions for problems that not necessarily that they exist, right? So do you think this is true? Like, and what we need to do more, because as technology itself, and you mentioned, about the digital trust, and like many things that we can do is like how, oh, what should we do, I would say, to really, harness, the power of this technology, far from all the noise that happens in the background.
Yeah, just let the dust settle, I think. I remember when the first computer came out, they thought they can install G in the full planet. When internet came out, was called, like something that didn't work. People is giving it up, and so on and so forth. So every new technology, like look at the metaverse, for example. It seems something that started everything in metaverse, and now metaverse disappeared. Truth is, no, that there are evolution that take time. They take time for being accepted. They take time for being implemented properly. And at the beginning of a new era of something that is really drastic, like technology, there is always a lot of noise, a lot of people that jump onto it. I was writing a small article the other day about what the years of has been from the years of like telecommunication, like for example, podcast, Zoom communication, remote work during the pandemic. Then there has been the year of crypto ICO. Before that, then there's been the year of so every time there is a wave with something new that everybody jumps on it. Everybody goes in LinkedIn and changes their specialization with the last sentence that comes out. We had the bank, the company that in the stock market changed their name, had the blockchain, but they were doing anything except other things, and they become super popular, and their stock went up a lot. So there are trends that these are to be considered in a certain way. Web3 had this misfortune that being financial, there's been a lot of scams and a lot of people that jump into this chain where people thought easy money, fast money, to create damage to other and scam other and ruin the reputation of, the whole thing. But if you think about it, blockchain, peer-to-peer, those are technology. Technology don't have the fault to be a scam rather than, like a car can be a tool that you can use to drive around, that you can use to hit people and kill people, because it's what you do with the technology that makes the difference. So unfortunately, people had made this mental connection, and that is being also the way all the NFTs that is the monthly sold for $500,000. There is a huge nonsense. Technology doesn't care. Technology is there, is remaining, is growing, and is going to be used where it's more convenient and logic to be used. So I think when the dust settles, we're going to see the real use cases come up. There's real adoption. So giving time to it. There is also another side that is a little bit political. There is the desire of control. So the centralizing services that are now centralized is going to remove power from certain people. So there is also this to consider.
Cool. Yeah. So Roberto, you mentioned something also, which is, it's critical. You mentioned about the scams. So for someone who might be listening to us now, so how, if I am not familiar with this, but I'm I'm curious about the technology, and really I want to maybe even invest in this technology, right? How I can spot what is scam from what is really, I would say, something green or something which can be useful, meaningful, and really can have potential.
Right. I consider the idea of investing in a technology a little bit to be analyzed, because we invest in people, because people are going to use the technology to make a business. We can invest in the idea of a business model, but the technology is just a mean to go somewhere. So the desire to invest in some people that I trust that they're going to do a good job, that they use a business model that I trust is going to be efficient, only because they use the technology rather than another, maybe it's not the best approach to investment, in my opinion. I would just invest in something that is actually going to have market. So some idea that really go there to pick a place where they can make a big difference, they can solve a problem people have. And in this case, if the technology uses blockchain, peer-to-peer network, better. If not, if it is bad, it's not work anyway, right? And if the people that execute the idea have a reputation of being serious entrepreneurs rather than people appear from nowhere but very charming, that's also something to consider. There has been so many scams of people throwing money to people that just had this reputation, but just built out of third-party comments, but not built by a career. Most of the people that present themselves as experts in some field, we should go 10 years behind in their career and see, do they been speaking at conferences on this topic? Have they run company? They've been a little bit so successful, or, the pioneers, some technology. And then I can see, okay, probably they're going to do a good job. They're using technology because it's really important for what they want to do, but not because it's just a buzzword that they are using to get investor money. So investors should pay attention in this aspect when approaching something. Web3 has a lot of very successful and money-making projects, and a lot of fails, and a lot of the worst scams at the beginning. Real estate, as much as, so we know worldwide real estate, but and the biggest scam, things that never happen, as much as project that fail, as much as very successful one. So it's not different.
100%. And like it's a rule of thumb: when you decide to invest anything, you go and do your homework and you research about the founding team, and as you said, like at least did they participated in conferences, did they publish a paper, like do they come from especially if it's something new. Of course, if it like maybe in other technologies, okay, you can relate, you can say they are up to something and you can see, but especially in these emerging technologies. Roberto, now I want to little bit go technical, and this is our relate to what you are trying to do today. So you talked at the beginning about decentralization, and like peer-to-peer is part of this. And actually peer-to-peer, for people, you and me, I think we are old enough to know that peer-to-peer started actually with music back in the day. So and the torrents and all these things. But now, like let's explain it first, and then I'm interested to know what you are trying to do it with AI. It's something, because I think it's on top of mind for many people, and I will let you explain why it's important.
All right. Sure. First of all, we need to understand what peer-to-peer is. Peer-to-peer is a network of computer that talk to each other, where no computer is more important than any other. So there is no a centralized point of failure. There is no an administrative computer that manages all the network. So this is the beauty of the peer-to-peer network, that they respect the protocol. So we expect all the servers in this network to do the same thing in front of a choice. And you can kill one and three more are coming up somewhere else. It's like an animal living his own life. It's like almost a living thing, because it is distributed around the world thanks to the internet, and it's impossible to be shut down all in once. So this is really, in a certain way, democratic, meaning that there is no point of control. There is no government can decide what goes on or not in the peer-to-peer network. In fact, going back to the origins, when the music and movie were downloaded from centralized website like Ata or other things, government could easily shut them down. And the law, the regulation were about no setting up a website distributing copyrighted material. With BitTorrent, which is the moment that I joined this revolution of decentralization, the rule had to change because BitTorrent, a peer-to-peer network where nobody is controlling it, the rules cannot be set into not running the network because it was impossible to regulate. So it has to change it. You cannot download from this network. So the paradigm must shift. And this is something that goes above simple music distribution. Considering that at the time, the music and movie industry had an opportunity that was golden because they had a distribution network that can reach the smallest village in the most remote country when they had to sell their material through DVD or videotapes, even worse, and ship it around the world. So I have a catalog of things that need to be produced. So digitalization could have bring these people a huge advantage, but because the technology was new, and when something is new and unknown, people get afraid. They reacted bullying the people that was using the technology, so they lost in all terms. And with the peer-to-peer use for finance, the financial institution changed the approach, and they start saying, "Hey, maybe we can adopt this technology and other ways try to regulate, which is not under our control by letting user use it or not." That's what is happening. So going back to the original question of the peer-to-peer network, being a network made of a computer that don't have one more right than the other. Following the protocol, there is a rule that is embedded in the software of each of these computers that is centered in the network. We can achieve so many different things without the central control or imposed control. For example, Twitter was harassed by the government to remove certain content. And at the time, CEO and owner of Twitter, Dorsey, started building a decentralized content management system so that practically for the content distribution system, so that practically all the content that was on Twitter wouldn't be in Twitter data centers. So when asked to remove content, people say, sorry, I can just block people from accessing it, but I cannot remove it because it's not in my data center. And this idea showed a paradigm where we don't decide anymore what can be posted or what not, but we can decide what we can see, what we consume, and what we don't want to consume. So it's a very interesting cultural change in how things are operated online. But eventually, things are moving in this direction. So we need to adapt. We cannot stop technology. That's the point.
Cool. Now back to the AI thing, Roberto. Why decentralization is important for AI? And I know in the current work you're doing, it's something different about decentralizing AI itself. So can you a little bit explain to us about that concept and what you're trying to achieve?
Okay, sorry if I interrupted you, but I needed a moment of breath. In fact, given what I explained earlier, if we were all preoccupied of the misuse of social media to influence people in taking choice for votes, like election, rather than we had the Cambridge Analytica scandal and so on, thinking how people is using AI on a daily basis to take a decision, to write content, to choose what to do and not. So it's just more than reading an article and thinking, I'm convinced about that or not. This is really asking, like if you're asking the best friend that is super intelligent, should I do this? How should I communicate it? If this thing is controlled because it's centralized, and we saw it with the ChatGPT that was absolutely on the woke side of things, and pro or against some political people, that you can ask, you can say something bad about the political person, I will say, I will never say. But then when you say something bad of the opposite person, is ready to say everything bad that you want. So in these terms, it's dangerous because it shows clearly that it's centralized, how it's trained, what is trained, on what basis is trained, and what is educated on answering is a choice of a small group of people. Now, if we translate this into a decentralized manner, where, as I was saying before, there is a peer-to-peer network where each server has a piece of the brain, and the synapses for the reasoning are in a network terms are like those of the artificial intelligence in a single data center, we probably have an artificial intelligence that is not controlled by a single party. So it can have a multiple sources, multiple way of thinking, and return answer of any sort. But on the other side is reach some issue. Asking ChatGPT how to build a bomb, for example, is getting a negative answer. There was way to hack this around before, and they're protecting it. In a decentralized manner, we need to be sure to filter content in the moment that we receive it, or we ask a question, but not in the moment that is thing, because there is going to be no possible to be controlled. So, like a container that does and provide any sort of intelligence, and a user that choose what to hear and what not, how it should be, I guess.
Now, this is very good point, Roberto. And there was some speculations on why, for example, companies like Apple were slow in moving with the AI. And one of the things is that, like, because Apple likes to put the software in the device, so they were talking about like it's not. It will not fit on the CPU that they use in the phone, while like OpenAI, they are leveraging all the power behind them, which is Microsoft, and all these server power that they have. So saying that, like, do you think this concept of decentralizing AI will also allow maybe other LLM models that can run on top of it and uh, like get the same, I would say, at least from, I'm not expert scientifically, but when they release these papers and they compare, for example, how the model acted for certain things, and we know that it needs a lot of GPU power and CPU power in the background. So will this help actually in letting other LLMs become more powerful, and even like maybe at least have the same of what GPT-4 today has, or we need to spend a little bit more time on this?
Oh, first of all, we need to understand that the big power consumption is on the training side. It's not on the consumption of the result of the model. There are models that are, just less than 50 gigabyte that can be downloaded and run locally in a computer that are pretty much at the same level of ChatGPT. So today, I'm personally running my computer and something that is at the same level, I would say. The only difference is that the ChatGPT is constantly trained, so it's going to be updated. On the other side, I need to download a new model every time I want an update, or maybe in the future have a system to reach just the latest update and add them. But what is coming this year is more what are called agents. So those applications that knows how to use multiple different models from different sources, can be all locally also, even online with APIs, and build together an answer that is being populated by multi-parts. And this is the principle of decentralized artificial intelligence, where many brains in many computers around the world can chip in to bring an answer that is much more powerful. And we know that if is an extended peer-to-peer network, it can easily become much more powerful than a large data set that is simply slower. And that's it. But nonetheless, an interesting progress, because telecommunication are getting faster by the day. So just Starlink and other things, so we can reach a very similar level of processing power and response.
Do you think like we can reach what they call artificial general intelligence?
I think I personally have experienced a couple of times ChatGPT to give answers that are absolutely not logical in the terms of what the explanation of the current functioning is. And the AGI is clearly something that is already very near. The only issue that most of these models still hallucinate, what is the term that is used. So sometimes they go out on tangent that have nothing to do with what they should come to. And this is something to be fixed. But nonetheless, I think AGI is something that this year is going to be reached to the embryonal level, if not fully developed. Think about this: when a baby is born, I am father of 4 kids, right? The oldest one is already 30 plus. The middle one is 3 years old. So when a baby is born, before his brain is all wired up to deal with life like we do when we are grown up, it takes years, right? So for as much faster the training of an artificial intelligence model can go, it still do require time to reach a certain level of maturity. And we can see it in the past few years how this has been happening already. Even more easy to see visually with the lead, for example, in asking to create an image with some text. As the challenge, the biggest challenge in the world, because the text is going to come up with the spellings that are more, but it's getting better and better. A little bit because of training, a little bit because of maturity. So by the use and feeding back the results and the feedbacks is getting better. So it's a sort of a natural selection process that is applied to these models.
Now, I am fascinated by one concept which we saw some examples last year, and you just talked about it a few minutes ago, which are the agents, right? And last year, I think there were some. I think these projects still they are active. I stopped following them because I got overwhelmed. So there was something called Auto GPT and something called Baby AGI, and I know that there's plenty of other things. So now, the question that I keep asking everyone who's expert in this domain, like yourself, Roberto, and especially now with a mix of the decentralization, and you said like will give them a lot of power. So, would that allow us as humans really to need to work less and just give these tasks to these bots and then let them figure it out, and then they will bring the results to me? Like, are we reaching something like this with these bots?
I believe that is a little bit of a course for us because, if I am the only one that can use ChatGPT against the rest of the world and I am a software developer, I will become a superstar software developer, right? To be able to return your code on in an afternoon. But because all the software developers have access to ChatGPT, and then we're just raising the basis of all the software developers, so it will make no difference. It's like if you give $1 million to each person in the world, there is no more rich person because anyway everybody is to the same level of wealth. In a certain way, I think a lot of jobs are automated and things are going to change. I think that this happened in history so many times where some technology came on and replaced a key part of a job, if not the full thing, and people need to move on. I have a very good example. I was when I was a little kid, I was running my company. We're doing also tech support, implementation of basic software. I'm talking about 30 plus years ago. We had a photographer in our town that saw this digital camera coming out, and he made a revolution in his photography shop. It was all about digital, both computer, learn Photoshop or whatever it was at the time, and start offering services to do photo retouch, photo restoration, all in digital aspect. All the other shop that is huge Kodak machine where you put the roll inside and the print comes out and the person just sit there smoking a cigarette. They all failed. They all closed down because they didn't move together with the evolution of the technology. So now this is what happened at the time, and this is happening today, and it's gonna apply to law firm, to content creators, to newspaper, every part where artificial intelligence is gonna supply a support. What is important not to just trust it blindly, but to leave a human with a good brain and to verify what comes out of that. But still remains a lot of things can be absolutely automated, and where you need a third person, you're gonna need only one. What is other four people gonna do? Either they act and play the photographer and evolve, or they act like those with the Kodak machine and they're gonna be bankrupt. So we need to move on. We cannot just take everything for granted. But maybe with because I do believe 2024 is gonna be the year of applied artificial intelligence, means even in robotics, They're beautiful robots that were totally dumb. But now, thanks to artificial intelligence, the use of this robotics is gonna go millions of times better because it's gonna have a context which is important. Probably in this context, we're gonna see the need by the government to give a basic income for everybody, just but not only for people that is not working, because they incentive people to not work, because like, why should I work if I get? Everybody should get like a basic amount of money, and this would justify the fact that some jobs are going to be take the time to transition. I think even farming, there are chapters that are totally controlled by artificial intelligence. They do the things. So there are a lot of processes that are going to require much less people, but there is a lot of people that need to move on and do things that are needed and artificial intelligence cannot do.
Absolutely. And I had on the show, yours is close to mine, I would say, about the future of work with the age of AI. Some of my guests, they had like a little bit more, I would say, like they talk about complete demolishing of some jobs, and this is, they said there will be no transition. It will happen very fast and faster than we expect. Now, with all what I'm seeing, I think there is, like any new technology, there will be some resistance for some time. There will be some voices here and there. But yeah, the change is coming. And I think, and we repeat it again here, I think many times, the power will be with the ones who knows how to leverage these technologies for their own purposes, right? So
Yeah, it is what is greed that usually put things in a bad balance.
true.
Because if people were happy to share, I'm not talking about the communism level of sharing, okay, because that's a bit too much. But if a government can provide something, I think privatization of basic needs is a very risky part. I mean, like we saw in the United States with health, for example, compared to many countries where if you're sick, you're given help by the government. Maybe the quality is different, unfortunately, but the guarantee of the basic needs are there. So if agriculture can have the big revolution to be automated by robotics and artificial intelligence, probably that should be ownership of the common people, meaning that it should be owned by and managed by the government. Because if it's controlled by privates, then they're gonna just make more money, and there's gonna be more people in demand of the product. It's gonna create a little bit of imbalance. So I probably that's why I believe in democratizing artificial intelligence, because it shouldn't be controlled by a central party. It should be free for everybody to apply in all the aspect of life that they want.
That's, another view, which is, I like it because it's very balanced, Roberto. Um, like I want to shift a little bit gears and, ask you a little bit about, now currently you have like two titles. So you are a CTO, Chief Technology Officer, and CBO, Chief Business Officer. So
Blockchain officer.
blockchain, oh, fine.
Uh,
But I but still, I mean, you need to take care of the business part and the technology part. So how you do this? And because you said you just had your first company at a very young age as well. So how do you balance these two? I mean, like from being in the tech hat and the business hat at the same time.
Well, I do believe that this is a difficult, and I suggest not to do it for anybody. I had a friend that was he's still actually an amazing photographer, and he said, "Look, I make a lot of money with my photography, but it doesn't make sense for me to spend and invest time to deal with the business side of my work. So I'm gonna hire and pay somebody that is my boss inside there." So somebody else is going to take care of the business. So if we are talented on something and we sacrifice our time and our talent to follow other aspects of our business that are necessary, like on the business side, it's not the technical side, it's always better to let this aspect be taken care of somebody that will do just that. Personally, I am chief blockchain officer on one side, so I study the architecture for the decentralization of artificial intelligence. So how a peer-to-peer network can actually support distributing the brain for both training and consumption in the artificial intelligence on one side. And on the other side, I studied the token economy and all the architecture to manage Web3 aspect of this game. So there are two separate things, but both technical. So that's one point. I've been CEO a company because of need, because of there was nobody else to do that. I'm probably not the best CEO, but it's something that is tiring and difficult for somebody that is not born to be that. But on the other hand, I will be CEO and not enter into the technical aspects. I will work with the CTO next to me that I need to trust that is going to be all the feedback on all the technological aspect of the business. So the CEO need to take care of who's being hired, why this money are not coming in, and so the things that are far away from the technology.
Absolutely. Um, Roberto, you wrote a book about blockchain. Like, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, absolutely. That has been something, a pivotal point in my life. So, at a certain point, I was working already with the blockchain for many years because I started at the early days. And I realized this blockchain was born not as a finished product, it was a solution for the Bitcoin to have them decentralized. And it was architected and built to work with the cryptocurrency. Then in the evolution of things, the blockchain started having its own life and it's going to be applied to many other things, to a lot of other crypto and tokens, which is pretty much okay, maybe. But then also for other use cases like managing a supply chain aspect or other things. But the architecture of how the blockchain is being built originally didn't change much, making it not really the correct technology to do a lot of other decentralized things. So I started studying a system to decouple the cryptocurrency aspect, the token aspect, from the mechanics of the protocol of decentralization. And I designed this protocol, which in my head was working, but would I know it was actually working? So I invested a lot of money, personal money, to actually build a proof of concept, which became a full functioning mechanics with the mobile app, web app, and all. And then I shut it down. I shut it down because I've been also part of another layer one project. And unfortunately, being such so attached still blockchain with crypto, people think that the quality of the technology behind cryptocurrency is directly proportional to the value of the cryptocurrency, which is absolutely not true. I can do an amazing technology to do a lot of things, and the token, if it's traded, has a very low value. Doesn't mean the technology is a low value. On the other side, we had a very good example of very valuable token cryptos with the backend, with the structure. It was horrible, and I'm not gonna make names, but people lost a lot of money because the technology failed. So, in this case, I wanted to wait to have enough funds to build this project properly. The book is a testimonial of when the idea was born. So whoever copies it, came after me. But I'm welcome to copy it because it's a fantastic idea. It doesn't give the technical specific detail, but the concept. And is also a memory of what need to come to decentralize the application, to decentralize mail server, to decentralize the web and other things. So it has a lot of resolve a lot of the problem that were there with the original blockchain, like the 51% attack, rather than scaling and other things, but require a decent investment. This is also an open invite. If somebody in Dubai is interested to talk to me about this project, please contact me because it's something that I keep in the drawer, but I'm ready to drop everything else and put myself into it any day that there are ways to implement it.
Sure. Like, hopefully, someone would notice that, Roberto, and contact you. As we're coming to an end, any final thought and where we can find more about you?
Well, my name is quite unique, so just Googling Roberto Capodieci is a good starting point. My family name Capodieci.link, Link, is a link to a sort of a list of social and other things to find me, or very simple to remember, rcx.it is a short link to come to my main website.
Don't worry about it, Roberto. Everything will be in the show notes. So all the links you mentioned, they will be available there. Really, I appreciate the insights and the knowledge that you shared with the audience today, Roberto. I really, really, really thank you very much for the time on the show today. I appreciate that. Especially, I like how we talked about this blend of decentralization with the AI. So let's see what the future will hide for us. And this is for the audience. So if you are first time listening to this podcast, thank you for passing by. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. We are available on all podcasting platforms. And if you are one of the loyal fans who keep coming, thank you for all your support. And also, please send me your comments. Send me what you think about the show in general and your suggestions, and I will be happy to take them also as well. And also, if you are interested to be on the show, you have an idea, or you have something you want to share with the rest of the world, don't hesitate. You can reach out to me. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you very soon.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.